Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Other World podcast for the 16th to the 22nd of August. Hi, Fee.
Hi, Denny. Hi, everyone.
What a week we're entering into. And I think relationships are at the real core of most of what I can see coming up in this next week. I, as always, had a beautiful tussle with my cards this morning, Fee. I went to my archetypes deck and two cards popped up and they were, and I wasn't really thinking, sometimes when I'm shuffling, I'm not setting the intention for the cards. And so if something comes up, I put them back because I kind of like to put the intention in first, if you know what I mean. So the two cards that popped up were the Lover and the Fault Line. And I put them back. And as I was putting them back, I was thinking it would be so funny if I pulled the same two out again. But set the intention and then really asked for the card that was going to speak to this week ahead. And again, two popped out. It was the Lover and Venom. And I thought, wow, that's so interesting. So it was the Lover and the Fault Line, and then the Lover and Venom. And I'd already been feeling into this relationship piece because of different things that have been coming up for me. So it was kind of interesting to see how those two cards spoke to this week ahead, and also what's going on astrologically and what's coming up within for us all to look at. So it's a big week for Venus. Venus is entering Libra as of today, actually. And Libra is that sign of relationship and balance. And Venus this week goes through a lot of aspects, actually trines, and trines are a really positive aspect when a planet is trining with another one. It's an opening. They can help each other reach places in a kind of positive way or a gentle way. So on the 10th last week, Venus trined Pluto. So there was maybe some things that opened, some deep things that opened around relationship that were kind of came to light in some way. Well, that story or whatever did open will continue this week with the trinings that are happening with Venus being in the sign of relationship, and then all the aspects that she's going through. The first one is Lilith. Looking at maybe those things internally that you bring in, it comes out in you in relationship that maybe aren't so pleasant, maybe where you're bringing up old stories or I guess things that come up like jealousy or envy or anger around stories that may or may not be true. I think that there's a really beautiful opening into these places that could really help your relationship going forward. Then after Lilith, it's North Node. So that could also open into what you're here to do. So purpose, so bringing some balance to your purpose, to what you're doing out into the world or what you want to bring to the world. And then Saturn, so putting structure around that. It's kind of this really beautiful one step after the other, and they're all trines, as I said. So there's just this kind of like uncovering of information that can help us move forward in a really beautiful way and build the structure for it to be, birth in a really kind of solid container, rather than birthing and then not taking root in the world. So that's quite a big a lot around relationship. And then I'm looking at the same time we've got, and I think I spoke to it a little bit last week, we start the week also with the moon and Juno conjunct on the South Node. So the moon is the feminine, the emotions. Juno is the goddess of marriage, and they're together on the South Node. So there's this real sense of looking back at past relationships and learning from them. They may have been maybe toxic relationships that you have in your past that you can just kind of write off as not having a lot of information for you. But it feels really important to look back at different relationships and what positives you can take out of them moving forward, what lessons you can gain from those relationships and bring into your relationships now. There's a lot around maybe where you might have lost power in old relationships and how you can bring more of your own power back into them in a really graceful way. Standing in your own power in relationships, finding balance in your relationship in the way that you both express power and the way that you both receive and give. And then again, that strengthening of the container of your relationship, so that you can both serve together more powerfully in the world. That feels really, really big right now. And at the end of the week, Uranus is going to go retrograde. And Uranus is that planet of change and revolution, and is starting to go back over ground. This feels like, and Uranus will be in retrograde for the rest of the year until January. That's all of the outer planets will all be in retrograde. Uranus is the last one to go into retrograde. It's a real time of going internal with a lot of the external things that have been going on. So we've externally been experiencing so much around us. Now's a time to take it all within and work out what it means for you and what's been asked of you. Whether that's change, whether it's structure. I'm looking at your feet, and we were going to make this a conversation, and it just hasn't happened because all of the information has just come out.
And I so see that. So I'm keeping quiet because I want to, to continue with your flow.
Yeah, so there's just the sense of this next 6 months being really about us internally making the changes that we need to make so that the times that we're in will, I guess, move on and move forward in a really positive way, because at the moment we can be sitting here in all of this turmoil wondering what's next and what's going to happen. And it feels like the change needs to happen within now, that we need to stop looking externally at the news and at the numbers and at the even, the things that are going on in the planet. While it's so important, where is that within, and how can I change what's going on here so that I see the change in the world? I had a conversation with a girlfriend yesterday about how overwhelming it can be when you look at the numbers and what's going on in the environment, and what can we do when we're told that the big countries need to make changes. And it's overwhelming until we just bring it back to what is this asking of me? Because really that's all of us can do, is just our peace, our internal peace. That's the beginning of our conversation.
Yes. I love that. And I know I'm going to speak to a lot of that when I do my numerology particularly, and also a beautiful message from the Acacia that really aligns to some of the points that you brought in there. And I'm not sure where you're going, but I know you mentioned your cards. We didn't speak to them though, and I really want to hear what your cards have to say.
Yeah, well, for me, the cards were the Lover. I mean, what I use the cards for is to really point me at where to look in the astrology, I guess. I can't try to weave them all in. And so when I picked the Lover card, I'm thinking, where's Venus in the chart? And it just so happened that today Venus moved into the house of relationship. So I just love the synchronicities of how that works. And the venom and the fault line is like, what's going on, what's happened in relationship, where do we need to look at maybe the more negative aspects. And then I looked to South Node, because when I'm looking at depths like fault line and venom, I'm thinking what's going on with your past lives or the past of this life. And then perfectly today, tomorrow, the moon, Juno, and South Node conjunct. So I kind of use these as markers as opposed to going to the book and finding out more about them. They just kind of show me where in the astrological chart to look, because there's so many things going on all the time, obviously. Does that? Yeah.
Oh, I love that, because it's the way that it kind of guides you. It gives you that thread to follow for what everybody is needing to, I guess, hear for this week ahead, because you're right, there's so much information we can bring through in these sessions. And, you know, sorry, this podcast is a kind of session, really, isn't it? Yeah. And so it is nice to use something as a kind of guide to help you get that. I guess that's what I use the Acacia for. My message from the Acacia is generally the thing that sets the tone for me. And then when I pull the card for these sessions as well, it either kind of affirms what I'm going to bring through for the numbers, or it confuses me. And so I put it aside and wait until I've done the numbers and looked at what, and you know, intuitively felt into what the information is to bring through. So I'm guessing, you know, from that, we kind of use the cards in the same way anyway. It's not a this is it, this is the energy that I'm going to work with. It's just a pointer to something, which I love.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I mean, at the moment, that's me. There's probably other little bits, but maybe if you share.
Yeah, first. Sure. Okay, well, I'm going to start with the numerology, because I did pull my cards and I looked at it, and it wasn't that I got confused by it, but I just thought, I feel like I need more information here to work through what is this card really showing us for this week, rather than diving into, as you say, I mean, I never read the book anyway, but I like to just feel intuitively. So I put my card aside, so I'm going to work with that in a moment. So the numerology for this week is pretty big. We're in week 33 of 2021. So 33 in numerology is one of the master numbers, which means that we're working with very high vibrational energy this week. So we're already working with an undercurrent of 3 running through the year, because of the year that we're in, 21, and that brings 3 energy. And then if we want to broaden that out even further, we're in the 21st century. So we're actually working with a lot of 3 archetypal energy anyway, as a sort of, you know, more like an undercurrent that runs through our experiences. So 3 is a big energy for this week, and it represents communication. But when you look at it through, I mean, there's a lot of other things as well that it represents, but one of the big things of 3 is communication. But when we look at this through the lens of 33, it's all about communication on a broader scale. So this energy is likely to invite you to look at how you can communicate maybe in a bigger way. So you'll be asked to look at how you are showing up in the world and expressing yourself, and maybe how you can expand that so that your words or your creations really become more widespread and reach more people. And I think this is what you were working with when you went into the second piece of your stuff this morning, Denny, was that, you know, this question, and I've been hearing this question a lot myself recently, probably for the last 3 or 4 weeks. How am I showing up in the world? And it's really been sitting with me, and I've been diving deep into that within and following the threads of the new kind of way that's unfolding at the moment, and really feeling, particularly in the beginning, confronted by needing to show up in a different way, or feeling like I needed to show up in a different way. That was a little bit confronting. You know, that brings up questions around, well, what's wrong with how I'm showing up already? You know, what am I not doing at the moment? And then as I settled into that energy a little bit more, I realized this was not an ego-driven thing of I want to reach out to more people, I want more numbers on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, social media we work with, but it's more about how can I be more of service? How can I reach more people and share what I'm here to do? It's that kind of energy. So I think if you're noticing that, you may really this week notice that energy within yourself, and it's really an invitation to bring you more into alignment between how you really want to be seen and how you're currently showing up. And it's not an ego thing, so don't think of it in that way. It's more about, this is what I really want to bring out into the world, so how can I adjust what I'm doing now and bring that out more fully?
Oh, I love that. I love that piece, because as you're speaking, two aspects that happen this week is Mars and Mercury go conjunct. So that's the god of war conjunct with the planet of communication. So it's bringing communication to what you really need to say in a way that's going to get across rather than be a struggle. I think Mercury brings this ability to speak words that need to be spoken without it ending in just a fight, if that makes sense. But then also we have the sun opposed Jupiter, and that is, and the sun's in Leo, in the last decan of Leo, and that's about your voice in the world and showing up in a bigger way. In fact, how I was going to say it is it's almost too big. You're almost going to feel like you need to really show up, and then it's where does ego take over from the message place. And my visual with it was you might be asked to dance naked on social media, but before you do it, find out what your intentions are with doing that. But actually, the way you put it, Fee, around showing up in a bigger way to serve, I mean, instantly I can feel that the truth in that, and how that's been showing up for me over the last week. That wanting to reach more, but not from I just want more people listening to me. It's just there's a message here that needs to get out. And I think sometimes I just think it's the showing up that's the message.
Oh, absolutely. And I love that reflection back and the parallel again between the numerology and the astrology around this time. And it is that question, because we can get so caught up in the ego aspect of showing up and being out in the world. And it really, this is not about ego in any way. This is about being of service, and how can you take action at the moment to show up differently and reach more people, which is, the whole theme, the underlying, the intention, as you put it, the intention behind that. And this 33 energy is so strong. I mean, it's very powerful this week. So it's actually going to kind of push your edges of your comfort zone, push it out a little bit. And I would say, particularly knowing what the message from the Acacia is this week, it's going to be a lot of diving inwards, taking the time to just set that pure intention through your heart before you take the action as well, which is really important. So, and this 33 energy is, I would say, arguably the most advanced of the three master numbers. And it also, whilst there's this communication aspect we've just been talking through, there's also this part of it that represents, I would say, love in its purest form. And it brings in support, love, and compassion. And that's really for humankind. It's in a big way. This is, this energy is always about the kind of the collective energies. So we also, I think, with that 33 energy, need to look at the single digit that 33 brings into it, which is the six archetype. And 6 resonates with family, with home, with nurturing and protection. It's all those beautiful, lovely, caring energies. They're all 6 energies. And so because 33 tends to broaden everything, take it out into the world in a bigger way, you might notice that those themes come up in your awareness in a slightly different way. So if you think of family, you might be drawn into, say, the larger family, the collective family that you're a part of. Or if you think of home, you might think of that in a broader way as being the planet, you know, thinking about our place on the earth. And again, this really, I think, aligns with what you were bringing through earlier on, and how we're being called at the moment to show up differently, to look at how we're showing up in regards to the planet, to these big questions that we're being asked at the moment around how we can make change in our, you know, in our world at this time. I don't know if you want to add some more to that.
No, but I feel all of that, and somehow or other it feels like it weaves into what we were speaking about before we started recording the podcast, and that was about this sense of timelines being woven at the moment, and a lot of I'm feeling this feminine energy at the moment. I think we spoke to that, and where Venus is right now really speaks to the feminine place. I mean, and my line, my feminine line, my matriarchal line, and what messages are coming through to me and to bring into the world, because it feels like I'm a culmination of all the women that came before me in my line, and I am the point that the rubber hits the ground, if you like. I'm here to manifest the dreams of my ancestors, and I'm really feeling that so strongly over this last week, and I can feel it pushing me into the future. I mean, in my dreams, I'm getting this really strongly. If I'm here to really see those the dreams and desires of the women that didn't have the opportunity to manifest those on the earth, and I have that opportunity, and I feel the weight of the importance of that in a really loving, joyful way. It doesn't weigh me down. It actually lights me up, which is just kind of interesting.
I love that. And it is, I think we're moving, particularly at this moment, into a time of more consciousness around the healing of our timelines and you know, our lineage, and the way in which the feminine energy has unfolded over many incarnations. And you know, we've all chosen to be here at this time because we've got the opportunity to do deep healing at that level. But it can feel that kind of weight of responsibility. I so know that feeling as well around, oh, this is big. This is bigger than I maybe ever thought it was. So I feel that is a podcast in itself, to maybe explore that more deeply, and maybe we can bring that into one of our conversations later on in another podcast and really go into that, because that's such a big subject at the moment.
It is.
Yeah.
So the message from the Acacia, we haven't had that yet.
Well, I'll bring my card in first of all, because this was the card that I chose, and this is the Star, and this is from the Dream Dust Tarot. And I am going to actually read from the card itself, because not from the book, but just what it said. There was so much, I think, in the numerology around you know, again, I'll just touch back on that a little bit, I think, because I think I missed a bit there that I wanted to talk to this week, which was really about how the 33 is also a combination of the two master numbers that come before it. So there's the 11 archetype and the 22 archetype. So when you think of the 33, it really encompasses all of the energies of those two previous archetypes that come before it, and the combination of those really bring you into the awareness of 33 being the master communicator, the master teacher, the master healer. That's kind of the energy that it works with. So this energy really, when we look at it and we individualize it, it embodies the, I guess, the intuitive and visionary qualities of the 11 archetype, and the ability through the 22 archetype to take those visions out into the physical, out into your material or your physical experience. So the combination of all of those archetypes through the energy of 33 really brings you into the awareness of 33 being that master teacher or master healer. It's a lot of healing energy, I think, with this number this week. And when you're influenced by that energy, you're supported really to look at life with more optimism, more positivity, and more hope. It brings you into that sort of more uplifting energy. It kind of softens your heart and really helps you to understand and express yourself from a different place. So this energy is very powerful, and you're likely to notice those influences, I think. But it does have another side, and I just wanted to touch on that before I finish with the numerology, because when that energy is overdone, or when people are really, using too much of that energy, it can show up as very controlling. It can show up as lying. It can show up as bullying. So it has that kind of shadow aspect to it as well. And so if you're currently experiencing situations where those themes are playing out in your life, then you may find that they do surface this week in a more conscious way. But if they do, then you know that you are being supported through this energy to find really more powerful ways to express yourself and to bring positive outcomes into your experience. There's a lot of positive energy that sits in this archetype this week. And that's where I wanted to bring the card in, because when I pulled the card, or I then went into the numerology, I thought, actually, this is the perfect card for this week to describe the energies. And what the card actually says is, glory, joy, the greatest expression of your soul, and awakening the sweet optimism of bird song, energizing and feeling alive. So I kind of feel myself that that's really what 33 energy is all about and what it represents for us all this week. So there's certainly a shift in lightness, and I mean that energetically. So a sense of optimism that's currently really unfolding and bringing, I guess, a stronger sense of peace and happiness into the week ahead. So I hope that that affirmation helps you and allows you to sink more deeply into that beautiful energy. And then finally, I just will bring through the message from the Acacia, which I thought was really beautiful this week. I think they're all really beautiful, incidentally, but I really particularly like this one. So the message that I received this week was, even in the strongest of storms, there are moments where the wind pauses to take a breath. You are in the pause, and this is a time to ground yourself, rest, laugh, dive into your heart, reflect, dive deeper within, recalibrate, find joy in the smallest things, keep going deeper. And as you honor this self-nurturing process, you will actually once again emerge into the world as the newest version of yourself. You are evolving rapidly, and these moments of reflection, stillness, inner inquiry, joy, and balance are a powerful way to support yourself through these transitions. So that was the message this week.
I love it, because it feels to me like it's a deep week, and a deep week for transformation, but there are so many supporting energies around us. I mean, that's certainly what's happening in the skies with all the beautiful trining energy that's happening. So the other thing that I have here that I wanted to speak about was synchronicities. There seems to be an increase again, thankfully, because I've felt a little bit of a lack of synchronicities lately. They seem to be back. So it's almost like you'll think something and it'll appear. And I've definitely noticed that over the last day or so, that just the beautiful power of the magic of synchronicities is alive and well this week.
That's always good to hear.
Always good to hear.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That's another week. We're also, we'll mention again that we are opening the Otherworld Collective as a place for women to gather, to be in a group with like-minded or differing opinions, but it doesn't matter. It's a place to be held. It's a place to share and learn and grow together in this time when we're so disconnected from each other physically. So if you're interested in that, just get in touch with us and we'll send you the links to that.
Beautiful. Well, have a great week ahead.